Good morning, everyone. Welcome into Morning Invest on this Wednesday, September 16th. So glad to have you here. We've got a big show for you today. We're going to be looking at the 5 things you need to know to start your day. We're going to be talking about the Federal Reserve meeting, which is all eyes on what the Federal Reserve says today. Jerome Powell holding their big meeting today, a 2-day meeting. So we're going to get some outlook on the economy. We're going to talk about this latest stimulus plan as we go through some of the details on that and where things go from here now that we have this $2 trillion stimulus plan, including basically double checks, 2 stimulus checks. If the economy doesn't improve by next year, we would get those additional checks. We'll tell you what members of Congress are saying about it this morning. We've had some pressure mounting now, it seems like, and we're going to hear from Mick Mulvaney, who spoke just moments ago. We'll bring that to you as well. And we're going to be talking about some strange UFOs that have been showing up over military bases recently. A number of different military bases over different nuclear sites, anti-ballistic missile sites. Yeah, isn't this a national security threat? When UFOs and different drones have been showing up over our military installations, why is no one talking about this? We'll have some reporting on that this morning, plus so much more. Good to see everyone this morning. Grover's here. He's zonked out once again, but so glad to see everyone here live in the live stream this morning. And oh, by the way, I should mention that we are going to continue our free giveaway for anyone who signs up for our newsletter. That's right, our newsletter, that's right. Our newsletter is totally free, morninginvest.com. We're giving away some of our sweatshirts, our hoodies, our brand new hoodies that are out. So we're going to continue that for another day. So if you missed a chance to subscribe to the newsletter, all you need to do is subscribe and then share it, refer a friend, and then you get entered into the raffle. And you can get as many tickets as you want, like a carnival raffle. That's the bottom line. So you can refer 20 friends, and that's like 20 tickets. You see how that goes? So we're going to extend it for another day because it was so popular. So thank you to everyone who recommended and referred our morning newsletter. We put a lot of work into it. Again, it's morninginvest.com is the newsletter. If you are new here, please say hello. Say, hey, I'm new. And we will welcome you with open arms. Yes. We will welcome you with open arms. Just say I'm new. Welcome to the show. Please subscribe. This is the only morning business news show for real people, the 99%, not the 1% Wall Street types. So our goal with this show is to empower you with your finances, empower you to take control of your government, to tell you the truth, what's happening in our federal government, what's happening with both political parties. We're going to be deep diving something terrible that Democrats are doing. They should be ashamed of themselves. We're going to talk about that on the show today, what they're doing against the Green Party. I should mention tomorrow morning on the show, we're just working out the details, we will have Green Party presidential candidate Howie Hawkins will be joining us tomorrow right here on Morning Invest. So any questions you have for Green Party candidate Howie Hawkins, please drop them in the comments below, and we will try to get those questions into him. But interesting to see what the Green Party is up against right now with Democrats trying to push them off of ballots. It's disgusting. So we'll have more on that. You guys all got your newsletters today? We're going to start the show in just mere moments. I was running behind because I had to get a big ice water this morning. It has been humid and hot. How is everyone doing down on the Gulf Coast, by the way? I hope with all of this rain, they're expecting 30 inches of rain through the Gulf Coast thanks to Hurricane Sally. Then, of course, all of our friends out west who are dealing with all of the dry conditions and wildfires out west and the horrible smoke, terrible air quality. Gosh. I mean, I hope politicians are paying attention to this and what the massive amounts of climate change that our country, our world has gone through in a short amount of time over the last 100 years and what we need to do to fix this. All you need to do is look at California right now to see what's happening. Good morning, everyone. I'm going to start the show in about 2 minutes. Sure, I got everything set up here. Yeah, and my home state of Pennsylvania is a big story this morning as mail-in balloting has been delayed thanks to what the Democrats are doing to go up against the Green Party. I mean, it is absolutely disgusting, and we should all be outraged, trying to silence the voices of other parties in this country. You guys can hear me okay? Someone said the sound is low. It shouldn't be. You guys can hear me okay? Hopefully it's good to go. You guys can hear me just fine? I can hear myself through the microphone or something here. Bob Lazar, yeah, I definitely. And by the way, there's an excellent documentary on Bob Lazar. Someone just asking Derek R. If you watch the Bob Lazar documentary on, I think, is it on Netflix or Amazon Prime? I forget. That Bob Lazar documentary is amazing. And the reporting out of Area 51. The sound is good, loud and clear. How's my camera today? Yesterday was a little overblown. We had to make some settings and adjustments. We've got a lot happening here on the show as we grow the show. We ordered our brand new super PC that's going to be controlling all of our graphics and everything new that we're starting here. So we've got a lot of new things that we're rolling out on this show. You know, my goal for this show, and Grover's goal for this show, is to be a place where you can come to learn the truth about the news, the truth about your personal finances, be empowered to build wealth. I believe that every American should have the right to build wealth, to know what's going on with their money, to not be lied to by big corporations and Wall Street and mainstream media. So thank you for supporting independent journalism. Thank you for supporting this show. I don't have any bosses. The only boss I have is this guy who yells at me when he has to go potty. That's about it. Other than that, I don't have any bosses. So I don't have any corporate overlords telling me what segments I need to do, what things I need to cover, who I need to interview, what questions I need to ask, none of that. So here on the show, I get to control the message. I get to ask the right questions. I get to tell you what I think is important, the stories that the mainstream media will not cover. And that's what this show is all about. Chandra says that Bob Lazar documentary is on Netflix. Yeah, check it out. Everyone wants to check it out. Anyone know the name? Chandra, do you know the name of the Bob Lazar documentary? Go check it out if you haven't seen it before. By the way, we just ordered a brand new excellent studio microphone. Oh, I can't wait for it to arrive. So the audio is going to get even better. I can't wait. Thank you, guys. Anyone for blueberry pancakes? Ooh, those sound good. Save some for me, James. Oh, and my wife. Yeah, well, yes, she is my boss too. That's true. All right, let's start the show, shall we? Grover, are you ready? You ready to start the old show this morning? All right, let's do it then, shall we? And here we go. Good Wednesday morning, everyone. Welcome into Morning Invest on this September 16th, 2020. I always have to look down at my watch. These days all flow together sometimes, don't they? It is Wednesday. We've got a jam-packed show for you today. We're going to be talking about the latest stimulus news, what this $2 trillion compromise bill looks like. We're going to go through line by line. We discussed it yesterday, but we're getting more details about who supports it. Is this a dog and pony show politically? I vowed that I would eat a houseplant if this thing passes. If this actually, first of all, makes it out of the House, then goes to the Senate and becomes law, or gets signed there and passes the Senate, and then goes to the president's desk and he signs it, I will eat a house plant. I will take your vote right here on what type of house plant. I'm saying maybe someone said bamboo. I saw someone saying bamboo is pretty good. I'll eat a money tree. I've got this little money tree. I love this little money tree gift that my wife got me. I love it. Maybe I don't want to eat this one though. Maybe like a ficus or something. So if this stimulus plan actually passes, I will eat a house plant. But again, we're going to go through the details of this and why we could see double checks in this plan. It seems like a pretty good compromise, but we'll tell you what where the heads are at on these members of Congress this morning and whether it stands any chance of passing. That's coming up on the show. We're also going to be talking about how upset I am at the Democratic Party, and that we should all be disgusted with what they are pulling in multiple states and trying to get the Green Party off the ticket in order to try to shore up votes. We're going to talk about that. And coming up tomorrow on the show, Howie Hawkins, who is the Green Party presidential candidate, he will be joining us here on the show for an interview. So we'll talk to him about the latest Democratic movement on that. Plus, we'll ask him about the Green Party platform and does it stand a chance this time around. That and so much more on the show. But we always like to start the show with the 5 things that you need to know for your day or night, wherever in the world you happen to be and whenever you happen to be watching this. So here are the 5 things that you need to know about today. So let's start with number 1. Number 1 is the Federal Reserve meeting. All eyes on Jerome Powell this afternoon at 2 p.m. Eastern Time. We're going to hear from Fed Chief Jerome Powell as officials there are working to figure out what in the world to say about the future of our economy. So what I'm looking for is a couple of things that I'm going to be watching for is about how long they plan to continue these low interest rates. Remember, the central bank, of course, is releasing its policy statement today around 2 p.m., and then they'll be opening up for their press conference at 2:30. I'll be watching it very closely. What I want to know from Fed Chief Jerome Powell is what about forward guidance? Okay, so there's 4 key things that I want to watch for today, and I will report on this later today and into tomorrow's show as well. Forward guidance. So what will they tell us about how long they plan to keep interest rates at 0? I'll be watching for that. I'll also be looking for rate dates. Say that 5 times fast. Rate dates. Rate dates. Nearly all of the Fed officials in their June meeting minutes projections saw through 2022 that they would be keeping these rates at near 0. So has that changed? Or will we have more definitive dates, more definitive rate dates? How many of you can say that 5 times fast in the chat? Rate dates, rate dates. I know everyone watching right now is trying to say that as quickly as they can. Rate dates, rate dates. So will it continue through 2023? We will see. So all eyes on that. Thank you so much, Tay, who became a new subscriber. I appreciate that. The economy is the 3rd thing that I'll be watching for. So how do they feel about the economy? This is, to me, the most important thing. So again, the economy. What will the Federal Reserve say about the broader economy? Is there trouble? Now, if you paid attention to any of my reporting over the past few weeks and you cut through the BS and the smoke, they have been saying that they are troubled about the economy. Specifically, that they have concerns that these easy gains from reopening the economy could mask deeper scars. Quoting, they said, as the most vulnerable businesses shut down and employees in hard-hit sectors face longer spells of joblessness. Look, folks, I've talked about the real number we need to be paying attention to is that permanent job loss number. The people who are not looking for work anymore. Those people are not reflected in the unemployment numbers that we get every month. And everyone in the White House and Congress jumps up and down. Oh, it's 8.4%. We all need to pat ourselves on the back. No, you idiots. That's not an accurate number. Number 1, that number is always wrong. But number 2, that number doesn't account for the people who've lost their jobs permanently and are not actively seeking employment because they're not receiving unemployment benefits. They're basically out of the entire system. That's how an economy collapses. When that number of people become poor, the poverty level in our country increases dramatically. That's the number to pay attention to. So again, the 3rd thing I'll be looking for from the Fed today is their outlook on the economy. What do they say about that? And the 4th thing that I'll be looking for is about this bond buying program. You know, the Federal Reserve has been buying up a bunch of garbage. You know that, right? They've been buying up a bunch of these mortgage-backed securities and other pieces of garbage that Wall Street does not want to buy. Junk bonds, crap. Wall Street doesn't want it, but guess what? Wall Street's happy that the Federal Reserve is buying all of this garbage. So how long will they continue to do it? That is the big question. They are spending $80 billion a month buying up junk right now just to keep the liquidity of the market flowing. I want you to wrap your heads around that for a second. Did you hear me? This is why the rich get richer, folks. Thank you for your super chat there. I appreciate it. Thank you so much for that super chat. That's so kind of you. John Shanks. You know, here's the thing. With them buying up all of these junk bonds at $80 billion a month, just think about that for a second. That means the money that they could be putting into the economy to help schools, to provide some sort of universal basic income in this country. I mean, our education system is in shambles when compared to other parts of the world. How do we not have universal health care for everybody? Medicare for everybody, public education for everybody in this country. We're the richest country in the world, and we're spending $80 billion a month buying up crap, buying up junk bonds that even Wall Street doesn't want. This is how the system works, folks. We should be outraged about it. That's what this show is all about. You're not going to see CNBC talking about this. You're not going to see MSNBC talking about this, CNN or Fox. No, because they're all driven by corporate masters who love that Wall Street's doing well, that they're making profits hand over fist. That's what this show is all about. So those are the 4 big things I'm going to be watching for from the Federal Reserve today. The second big story that you need to know about today is that teens, this is the most outrageous story. I mean, there's a lot of outrage in today's show, but holy smokes, this is about one of the most outrageous things I've heard in a while. This is a troubling story. It's a sneaky way of trying to go around campaign laws, basically. Teenagers, some of them minors, are being paid to pump out messages on social media at the direction of Turning Point Action, which are pro-Trump super PAC, basically. A prominent conservative youth organization based out in Phoenix. The Washington Post started noticing these messages online. They started digging into it. Good for the Washington Post on this story. Good. They started digging into these messages, and they started noticing that a lot of these messages that were being posted on Twitter, Facebook, etc., were coming from teens, many of them minors, who were being paid by this group to pump out these random pro-Trump messages so that it looked like it was natural and real. So like a 14-year-old's tweeting about President Trump, I mean, some of the messages were pretty ridiculous. I mean, you know, I don't even want to go into some of the messages because I don't want to promote that type of behavior and even further put these messages out there. Well, Twitter's looked into it. Facebook's looked into it. Now they've shut down about 20 accounts that have been involved in this scam. They are saying it's manipulation and spam, platform manipulation, that they're being paid for it. It's not an ad, so, you know, Facebook can't charge them for an ad. But the kids are getting money. And the parents love it because these pro-Trump organizations are sending money to these people's kids to influence the election. It's outrageous. But they responded. They were asked about this. You know, so one person, well, first of all, one person said, look, in 2016, there were teenagers in Macedonia that were interfering in our election by running a troll farm and writing salacious articles that got memed and pushed out all over the internet, of course, and how President Trump won was, you know, in large part due to all of this misinformation campaign. It was brilliant. They used the internet to pump out all these fake messages about Hillary Clinton and that, you know, all this stuff. Hillary Clinton also ran a terrible campaign. If she ran a good campaign, maybe she could have overcome that. Nevertheless, this misinformation was a huge reason Trump's in the Oval Office today, as you all know. They said instead of this troll farm being in Macedonia, now it's in America. It's right here in Phoenix, according to one critic. But then, of course, Turning Point Action fired back on this story. They said that the 26-year-old leader, Charlie Kirk, said that this is a gross mischaracterization of what we're doing. And Austin Smith said, who is one of their field directors, said, this is a sincere political activism conducted by real people who passionately hold the beliefs they describe online. Not an anonymous troll farm in Russia, they responded. Right. So if I felt a certain way about politics, wouldn't I be posting Twitter messages about it on my own? Do I need to be paid in order to do that? No. If you're passionate about a political position and you're a 13-year-old, you're going to post that information online on your own, won't you? You don't need to be paid by some conservative group in order to push out pro-Trump stuff. This is outrageous. I can't believe parents would allow this to happen either. But hey, they're going to make money off of it? Sure, I'll vote for Trump. And they're probably, in some ways, even like trying to buy your vote too. There you go. The third thing that I think you need to know about today, President Trump last night in my home city of Philadelphia, and Philadelphia did not disappoint. You know, Philadelphia is a tough crowd. If you've ever watched a Phillies game or an Eagles game, you know, Philadelphia Eagles famously where the crowd threw the snowballs at Santa Claus during one of the Christmas games a number of years ago in the 1980s. They booed Santa Claus and threw snowballs at him. That's right. That's Philadelphia. Well, he was there hosting a town hall meeting last night, President Trump did, and instead of fielding questions from the press, which he can just yell at and call them fake news, he fielded questions from real voters, real human beings. Yes, he did. He had to take some serious questions, and the verdict is in. It didn't go so well. It did not go so well. Here are just a few examples last night of what President Trump had to deal with last night in some of these questions. Watch this one woman. President Trump tries to interrupt her as she's talking about one of her health conditions that she's worried about losing because she has a pre-existing condition under Trump, any kind of Trump's health care rollbacks of Obamacare. And President Trump tries to interrupt her, and she says, "Excuse me, sir. Let me finish." Oh, Philadelphia. Watch.
Should pre-existing conditions, which Obamacare brought to fruition, be removed?
No.
Please stop and let me finish my question, sir. Should that be removed within a 36 to 72 hour period without my medication? I will be dead. And I want to know what it is that you're going to do to assure that people like me who work hard, we do everything we're supposed to do, can stay insured. It's not my fault that I was born with this disease. It's not my fault that I'm a black woman and in the medical community I'm minimized and not taken seriously. I want to know what you are going to do about that.
So, first of all, I hope you are taken seriously. I hope you are.
There you go. That was one question. That was just one little example. One of the other big points of the night last night, this town hall in Philadelphia, is the question about what he knew about the coronavirus. What he knew and told Bob Woodward back in February, of course, in those interviews, veteran journalist Bob Woodward, whose new book is out now called Rage. How many of you are reading that book, by the way? I've read just about every Bob Woodward book that there is, going back to All the President's Men. But yeah, anyway, his new book is out. Anyway, one of the big things, of course, came out of those interviews, and they're all on tape. Bob Woodward recorded 19 different interviews, and Bob Woodward explained that often President Trump would call him at nighttime randomly, and he'd have to go get his recorder, and they'd sit there for hours and talk. So he would give these long interviews with Bob Woodward. These are his own words. If any of you have been living under a rock for the past week or so and missed what was said to Bob Woodward, here is what was said, and then we'll play some of the questions last night at this town hall. Take a listen.
I wanted to always play it down. I still like playing it down.
Yes, sir.
Because I don't want to create a panic.
Here's what the president was asked about that tonight.
If you believe it's the president's responsibility to protect America, why would you downplay a pandemic that is known to disproportionately harm low-income families and minority communities?
Yeah. Well, I didn't downplay it. I actually, in many ways, I upplayed it in terms of action.
Okay, so here's the new word of the week. I upplayed it. I didn't downplay it. Which, in his own words, he's admitting to Bob Woodward that he's downplayed it. He downplayed it and didn't want to create quote-unquote panic. Was making fun of people wearing masks, was saying that it's not as bad as the flu, and here he is telling Bob Woodward that it's worse than the flu. He knew it was. And he's now, this new word is upplay. Let's listen to it again. Upplay. I'm going to upplay this. I'm going to upplay this soundbite for you in case you missed it.
That was asked about that tonight.
If you believe it's the president's responsibility to protect America, Why would you downplay a pandemic that is known to disproportionately harm low-income families and minority communities?
Yeah. Well, I didn't downplay it. I actually, in many ways, I upplayed it in terms of action. My
Did you not
action was
admit to
very
it
strong.
yourself, saying that
because
you-
what I did was with China, I put a ban on. With Europe, I put a ban on. So we saved a lot of lives when we did that.
I upplayed it. So that's the new response. And this, again, last week when, of course, all this reporting came out from Bob Woodward, he went on multiple different interviews and says, yes, I did downplay it. Does he forget that literally a week ago he admitted that he downplayed it, and now he's saying in this town hall to this young lady, I didn't downplay it, I upplayed it. Here he was, just to refresh your memory, because here we come for the truth on this show. This is the truth, these are the facts. Here's what President Trump said just last week about downplaying the virus in multiple different interviews.
Did you mislead the public by saying that you downplayed the coronavirus and that you repeatedly did that in order to reduce panic?
Well, I think if you said in order to reduce panic, perhaps that's so. I don't want people to be frightened. I don't want to create panic, as you say.
I want to show a calmness. I'm the leader of the country. I can't be jumping up and down and scaring people. I don't want to scare people. I want people not to panic. And that's exactly what I did.
Why did you lie to the American people, and why should we trust what you have to say now?
Such a terrible question, and the phraseology. I didn't lie. What I said is we have to be calm, we can't be panicked. And what I said to Woodward was actually good. I said calm, we need calm, we don't need panic.
Come on, man.
That's right, Joe. Come on, man. What I said to Woodward was good, that we don't need calm. I'm downplaying it. And I got to keep everyone, you know, I got to hide this thing. I want to talk about it. It's always interesting, though, that we can talk as politicians about threats where we can start making a lot of money for our, big money donors, right? Well, there's one guy over in Afghanistan who could be a threat to the United States and, could come for your children. He could be, he's a terrorist, ISIS. We got to watch out for ISIS. I'm going to talk about it as much as I can, and I'm going to tell you what a threat it is, and that's why we need to increase our military budget by 20%, and we need to keep ordering more missiles and more bombers, and we need to keep lining defense contractors' pockets. But when there's no opportunity in it, and there's no money in it for politicians, we'll downplay it. We'll keep it quiet. We're not going to even talk about it. We won't bring it up. Just whitewash the whole thing. Here's the fourth thing that you need to know about to start your day, and that is rich people are selling stocks like crazy. Yeah, this is true. Billions of stocks being sold right now. We should all be paying attention to this. Look, if I hate to say like the little guy, but that's really what it is. You and me, the little guys who get crushed by Wall Street, we get crushed by big corporations, all of these billionaires that run roughshod over us, knowing stuff that perhaps you don't have, the information you don't perhaps have the access to like they do. But they're selling billions of dollars in stocks. World's wealthiest people have sold more than $3 billion in stocks in major holdings since August, because you know why? Volatility is back, baby. It's exactly why I don't invest in the stock market very much at all. I've got my Webull account, and I have a few free stocks in there. I buy some Apple stocks. That's about it. The majority of my money is in real estate and in business. That's the smart play, and you should be too. Again, watching what these billionaires are doing with their money, taking their money out of the stock market, selling billions of dollars off. Warren Buffett selling billions of dollars and investing in gold and real estate. Something is happening, folks. And you got to check out the video that I did the other day on what's coming with this collapse. I'm telling you, you better pay attention to it, because what's going to happen is the people with their 401ks are going to get screwed. Right now, you have an opportunity under the CARES Act to take money out of your 401k without penalty and to put it into real estate. Get it out of this crazy volatile system right now. Put it into something else. Put it into gold, put it into silver, put it into real estate. If you have stomach for it and you're educated enough on it, put it into crypto as well. But folks, pay attention to what's happening right now. If you have a 401k or retirement plan and it's tied to the stock market, which it probably is, be very careful. I'm giving you the warnings right now. The writing is on the wall. And again, don't listen to what they say, watch what they do, and what they are doing right now is this: selling billions of dollars off in stock and repositioning their holdings. Please pay attention to it, okay? Please, 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 do not get caught holding the bag on this. You know, President Trump last night at that town hall in Philadelphia talked about the stock market, and he talks about the economy. His economy's doing great. He said jobs numbers are great, and he's like, look, he mentioned this last night, everyone's got a 401k is doing great. People's 401ks are looking great until they're not. You remember what happened in 2008? People lost almost their entire retirement. People who were nearing retirement, when the whole market collapsed, they lost everything. Don't be left holding the bag with paper assets in the stock market. Please, please, please. And that's why you watch this show, because you're not going to have them saying this on CNBC. They're not going to tell you to sell your stocks on CNBC. They're not going to tell you to get out of the market and go and buy real estate, because that's how they make their money. Okay? So be careful. Be very careful. The fifth story that I think you need to know about today: these mysterious drones and UFOs that are being spotted over military installations. This story, I can't believe is not getting more coverage in the mainstream media. Actually, I can believe it, because come on, we've got more important things to cover, I guess. These mysterious drone incursions have occurred over U.S. military installations, even going back as far as 2019. Andersen Air Force Base, which is on the island of Guam, and multiple other locations. These intruding craft are showing up over highly sensitive areas. They're showing up over, and these types of drones that these look like, I mean, these are like, you know, store-bought almost, some of them. Some of them are huge, and some of them can't be identified. Quadcopter-like vehicles with bright spots that flew over water and then across the northwest base. They're not much higher than treetop level, about 20 to 30 feet off the ground. On a number of nights, the craft would make multiple incursions in the very early morning hours. They would show up, disappear, and then they would come back hours later. Should we not be concerned about this? That these craft are showing up on military bases, multiple military bases, and we don't know what they are or where they're from? This is not a national security threat? Why aren't we talking about this or reporting it? That is amazing to me. Yes, some drones, others though that don't look like drones, look entirely different, and we don't know what they are. We certainly know, if anyone's curious about this, obviously Malmstrom Air Force Base in Montana, there's famous incidents of UFOs shutting down the nuclear facilities at Malmstrom Air Force Base. The nuclear sites, and multiple nuclear silos went offline. They are redundant systems. They are not connected to each other, meaning if one power grid goes down, the others act independently of them. Multiple eyewitnesses, high-level members of the military, see a giant UFO above these missile silos in Montana and watch as all of these computer systems are shut down and go offline. Is that not a national security threat? The U.S. Air Force pilot Favor, who witnessed those USS Nimitz UFOs off the coast of California back in 2004, has come forward this week saying that what he saw and what that dogfight that he basically ended up getting involved with those UFOs was an act of war. He described it as an act of war. If they're over our airspace and they are interacting with our aircraft, that is an act of war. And now we have these things showing up over military bases. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. Those are the 5 things that you need to know today. We're going to deep dive the stimulus in a minute and the very latest on that. Plus, we're going to deep dive what I think is horrendous, what the Democrats are doing to the Green Party today. I'm going to show you some details on this that's going to make your jaw drop. And you should be outraged. If you're not outraged, then your head's not screwed on right. So what do you guys think I should be... do you guys think, what houseplant, if this stimulus bill passes, I will eat a houseplant? What's your vote on that? Why not shoot it down, Steven says. Great question. Yeah, why wouldn't they shoot it down? It's a military base. I mean, and this should be, you know, it would be on radar, be all over the place. Here's my boy. Here's my buddy. Buddy back. He just took a little mini walk here. Why is this not popping up? I'm trying to get the Grover cam up here. That's why. I'm having some problems with that. He likes to do a swimming thing on the ground. Your puppies do that at home? Everyone complains. They're like, I don't ever get to see Grover when he's not asleep. Well, here you go. Here you go, buddy. So we're going to deep dive the stimulus here in a moment. And this is the Kong that I got him. We fill it with some of his kibble and a little peanut butter. And it's been quite fantastic. He'll spend like an hour working on it. How was your walk, buddy? You had a little walk? You get back to your bed? Hey, William Carroll says, how about I eat a cactus? Come on now. Come on, man. Really?
Come on, man.
No way, William. You eat a cactus. It's like a Bugs Bunny cartoon or something, right? Just make sure it's not poisonous. Yeah, that's why I wouldn't like eat a poinsettia, right? Those things are poisonous. What's other houseplants that are poisonous? By the way, you guys want to see the old setup today? Here is the big setup. Here we go. Here's the full setup. Dual screens with all my notes. All my notes here today on everything we're covering here on the show. That's right. Look at the stream. You guys are looking good in the stream today. Great. See, this is what I'm able to see here coming through. That's very good. It's looking good. By the way, if you sign up for today's newsletter, just go to morninginvest.com. We are giving away the new sweatshirts, the new hoodies. Here's the new hoodie with the Morning Invest logo on it. So if you refer a friend just by going to the newsletter, morninginvest.com, and when it's delivered to your inbox, you'll see it at the bottom. How to refer a friend, you get entered into the raffle, and your friend also has a chance to win as well. Pretty great. So that is the Morning Invest newsletter, morninginvest.com, totally free. Do you love the newsletter? Let me know if you guys love the newsletter or not. We put a lot of work into it, and we had a lot of you referred your friends yesterday, so thank you guys so much. Mint is a house plant. Thank you so much, Sarah. I appreciate that. How do you join? That's simple. Just go to morninginvest.com. It's a newsletter website, and you can, and then what it'll do is we'll email you the newsletter every day, right in your inbox. All right, we're going to deep dive some stuff here in a second, but Grover's having some fun, and it's rare that he's awake like this during the show, so I want to maximize this time with you guys. Go. Okay. Get my notes here. A cerise plant. So is basil. Isn't basil? You guys, someone just said, I love you, Clayton, but I love Grover more. Well, I do too. I love Grover more than myself. Good. Chew on that instead of my foot. Thank you, Kitty Jones. Thank you so much. That's so kind of you. Thank you guys for supporting independent journalism. Every one of you who sends in a super chat, every one of you who becomes a channel member. Thank you for all of our new channel members, by the way. I really appreciate it. And all of you who, you don't have to send any money. If you even just subscribe to the newsletter, that means the world, because we know we're doing our job to get you great information. And our goal, my mission, I said to my wife this morning, I said, my mission with this show is to help change, as many people as I can for the better, to help you with your finances, empower you personally with your personal finances. how can we push this government to do more for its people instead of big corporations, instead of frankly raping and pillaging us on a regular basis? That's what this show is all about. So thank you for supporting that. But you can become a channel member as well right here just by going to morninginvest.com/join. It's very simple to become a channel member. And see, these will pop up. See? Akina, I hope I'm saying that right. Anytime you become a channel member, your name should pop up right here. So if we get anybody that joins today, it'll pop up right here. New channel member. Welcome to the channel, Derek. Appreciate it. Thank you, everyone. I should not eat a house plant. I said I will eat a house plant if this stimulus passes. All right. All right, it's time to deep dive now. Got on your snorkel? You got on your mask? Someone said, who just said I'm smoking a doobie on the porch? Let me turn this down, sorry. There we go. Eat a weed plant. No, I'm not going to do that. Scott Davidson, thank you for becoming a channel member. I appreciate it. Okay. Lauren Paulson, thank you for your kind super chat. Very kind of you. He's not terribly aware of how he should be on the camera. Sorry, having to set up my own camera today. Tamika Davis is finally here. Welcome. All right. I want to tell you about something outrageous that the Democrats are doing to the Green Party candidate, Howie Hawkins, and trying to get the Green Party removed from the ballot. This is an outrageous story that needs our attention. I mean, if you care about democracy, you care about this presidential election, you care about giving a voice to candidates that are not inside this two-party corrupt system, Democrats and Republicans. Look, I'm a registered independent. I have been for years. And I vote with my head, not with some sort of dogmatic approach to voting. So if there's a candidate, a platform like the Green Party that appeals to you as a voter, you should have every right to voice your vote and pick a Green Party candidate. Just the same with a Libertarian candidate or the People's Party. The list goes on. I mean, other countries are shocked that we only have 2 parties in this country. I mean, you have European countries that end up having 15 parties. You know, the good rises to the top. Instead, what we're trying to do is trying to suppress the good by getting them removed from the ballot. And that's exactly what Democrats are doing, and they should be ashamed of themselves. Democratic Party, instead of putting up a bold platform on green energy, green jobs, they could have talked about it at their Democratic National Convention. They could have had a really bold initiative for green energy in this country. It could have been a central message on what the Green Party is pulling for. Instead of doing that, instead of incorporating a lot of what the Green Party wants into its party ticket, into its party platform, instead they're trying to suppress that message. They're trying to get rid of that party. Listen to what they're doing, and it's really shocking to me. They're trying to get them kicked off the ballot in a number of states. And Democratic Party officials have basically declared war on the Green Party. They don't want a repeat of what happened in 2016. Just to give you some frame of reference, Hillary Clinton ran a pretty terrible campaign. They could never really figure out what her platform was. They could never figure out their messaging. If you went to her website, it was like hundreds of pages long. She didn't even know. She didn't know what she stood for. They ran a terrible campaign. And when they lost, they didn't want to take credit for why they lost and just say, you know what, the buck stops with me, we ran a terrible campaign. They started pointing fingers at everywhere else, including the Green Party. I remember interviewing Jill Stein at the time she was on my show a couple of times, and she was outraged that basically Democrats tried to blame her for Hillary Clinton's loss, instead of just admitting they ran a terrible campaign. Why did they do that? Well, certain states, specifically in Pennsylvania, where Jill Stein ended up getting 49,000 votes, and Hillary Clinton lost Pennsylvania by 44,000 votes to President Trump. But what they don't talk about, of course, is that Gary Johnson also, whom I've interviewed a number of times, a Libertarian candidate, he got like 3 times the amount of votes that Jill Stein got in Pennsylvania. But no, we got to stop the Green Party. We got to stop the boogeymen. Look what they're doing in Montana right now. So this is unbelievable, and why the Green Party is not going to be on the ballot in Montana. According to CNN, Green Party candidates won't be on the Montana ballots because of this Supreme Court action. Montana Democrats basically successfully have gotten 5 Green Party candidates kicked off the ballot there. They're pushing hard because they're actually seeing an opportunity in Montana to win the Senate races. Democrats have been trying and pushing hard, and they took it all the way to the Supreme Court, basically, to get the Green Party candidates removed from the ballot. Listen to how they did this, though. I used to live in Montana, and this is amazing. The Green Party went around door to door, grassroots door-to-door politics in Montana. Now, the population isn't huge in Montana, so you can have a pretty strong ground game and get out door to door and having people sign petitions, right? They get the papers out, they sign a petition asking, hey, John, knocking on your door, do you want a Green Party candidate to be on the ballot and vote in the primary election? Yes, I do. I think a Green Party candidate should be. Great. Thank you for your signature on this petition. I appreciate it. So then they're on the ballot. They're in the primary. Then what happens? Democrats actually went door to door and asked those people that signed their names to renege or remove their signature, basically telling them, look, you know what, your vote's not going to really count for much because Democrats have a chance to win certain things here in Montana. Why don't you take your vote back? Why don't you take your signature off of this petition? Can you believe that crap? They effectively disenfranchised these voters in Montana. Unbelievable. And so they did. And because enough of them pulled their signature back, because the Democrats went after it, now the Supreme Court said they don't have enough signatures and they're pulled off the ballot in Montana. That's just one state, one example. Let's go to Wisconsin and some of these battleground states. This is incredibly outrageous. And that's where some of the most egregious stuff is happening in some of these battleground states. The Supreme Court just ruled there in the 11th hour that the Green Party should be tossed off the ticket over a technicality. What's the technicality? Well, the vice presidential candidate on the Green Party ticket, Angela Walker, moved where she lived during the petitioning process. And because of that technicality of address, they're saying we're not on in Wisconsin anymore. And Democrats pushed for that because of that technicality. Where else did they do that? They did it in Texas. That's right. In Texas also, the state Democrats are suing to keep the Green Party off the ticket there because they didn't pay the $5,000 filing fee. But it should be made clear that the $5,000 filing fee to run as a presidential candidate in that state is not completed yet. And other parties think it's unconstitutional that you'd have to pay $5,000. So with that bill, that's not even a finalized law yet. So the Green Party didn't pay the $5,000 filing fee, and Democrats are suing them over them to keep them off the ballot. Now let's go to my home state of Pennsylvania, which is incredibly embarrassing here. And Democrats should be, ashamed of themselves in Pennsylvania as well. Because mail-in voting should have already started in my home state of Pennsylvania. How many of you live in Pennsylvania and are waiting on your mail-in ballots? Guess what? It's delayed. The reason it's delayed is because Democrats are going after the Green Party in Pennsylvania, trying to keep them off the ballot. Yeah, and that's why you haven't received a ballot in the mail yet. Again, according to CNN, the start of Pennsylvania's election is on hold because of a ballot delay. They've gone so far as to allow the court challenges there an aggressive war on the Green Party to delay the beginning of mail-in balloting. I mean, think about it. This should have been already sent to you. How important Pennsylvania is. But county election officials there they would have started offering absentee or mail-in ballots won't, because they're now waiting on them to perhaps get the Green Party removed from the ticket there. Come on.
Come on, man.
Yeah, Joe, it's your party, man. It's your party. It's disgusting. The reason, and specifically in Pennsylvania, because again, Jill Stein won Pennsylvania, or she won Pennsylvania. She got 49,000 votes in Pennsylvania. 49,000 Americans voted for her in Pennsylvania because they liked her message. They liked what the Green Party stands for. They support green energy jobs. They support a green energy infrastructure. They support a removal of fossil fuels in this country. All of those things. I mean, go read the Green Party's platform. And by the way, on the show tomorrow, right here, we will have Howie Hawkins, who is the current presidential candidate of the Green Party. So you can ask Howie specifically any of these questions, and I'll make sure to get his questions, your questions here in the chat or comments answered tomorrow. So please drop any questions you have for Howie Hawkins right here in the comments below. He will be joining us tomorrow on Morning Invest. I'm super excited about that. But Jill Stein was asked this question, okay? And she was asked the question, did you give the White House to President Trump because you stole votes from the Democrats? Which is a ridiculous question because we're so programmed to think of a two-party system in this country. Ridiculous. Anyway, an MSNBC host asked her this stupid question, and Jill Stein fired back and had a great response. Listen to this question and answer.
Is it plausible that these Russian actors created enough influence that changed a few thousand votes here and there, and ultimately that could have altered the election?
So let me say the assumption here is that the votes belong to Hillary Clinton and that that my votes were stolen from someone else. And I think that's an insult to American voters who really deserve to choose, who made it perfectly clear that they did not like. In fact, these were the most distrusted and disliked candidates in recorded history. So to try to excuse my votes as being stolen from Hillary is outrageous. But beyond that, we have data. We actually have scientific data on how people voted. And what we know is that the people who voted for me, in vast majority, over 60%, would not have voted if I wasn't there.
Oh, interesting. Did Jill Stein just bring data and facts to a conversation with an MSNBC host? Wow. This is the kind of corporate media stuff that you're going to see. This is the kind of corporate media stuff. I mean, you have Rachel Maddow, frankly. She's been saying that they're the Republican-backed, Russia-backed Green Party to scare people. You got to vote for your corporate candidates. You got to vote for your corporate, Democrats, your corporate Republicans who are bought and sold by big corporations. You got to vote for your Joe Bidens who are bought and sold by big corporations who support, going to the Iraq war, lining defense contractors' pockets, all these big parties and all their big party money and donors. You got to support that. That's the messaging over at MSNBC. Support Donald Trump. That's the messaging over at Fox. That's what you got to do. We can't have a third-party candidate. Surely we couldn't. This is disgusting. This is the kind of stuff, write to your representatives and let them know. Make sure you sign petitions for third-party candidates. We should have more voices in this country. The fact that Jill Stein got 49,000 votes, and the data does show, she's right, that those people would not have voted for Hillary Clinton. They did not like Hillary Clinton. She ran a terrible campaign. They did not like Donald Trump. They thought he was a crook and a liar. They wanted somebody else. They liked the Green Party message, and Democrats didn't want to include Green Party messaging as part of their platform. So guess what? It exists. So here's what Democrats could do if they wanted these votes, is change. Be more inclusive. Talk about green energy all the time. Talk about the environment. Talk about climate change. The latest data and polling show that climate change is one of the top issues for voters. Just look at what's happening on the Gulf Coast and hurricanes, a continuous deluge of hurricanes, wildfires, hottest season on record in California. These are huge concerns to farmers, and yet no one's talking about it as much as they could be. Now, Joe Biden's starting to talk about it more and more, which is good. But again, why not work with the Green Party, roll this in as part of your party platform to a larger degree, instead of having to get them off the ballot, try to suppress the vote. What's really hypocritical about this whole thing is that this is where Democrats are total hypocrites on, is that this is exactly what they criticize Republicans of doing in minority neighborhoods, is suppressing the vote, suppressing the black vote, right? That's what Democrats always criticize of Republicans, trying to suppress the vote. And yet this is exactly what Democrats are doing to the Green Party voices. So now in Montana, you can't vote for a Green Party candidate because Democrats got you thrown off the ballot. And they're trying to do the same thing in Pennsylvania, Texas, Wisconsin, and others. Disgusting. Disgusting. Smash that like button, please. Right now, smash that like button as many times as you can. Smash it, smash it. Tomorrow on the show, we've got Howie Hawkins, the presidential candidate for the Green Party. He will be here. We're going to ask him about this voter suppression. We're also going to talk to him about the Green New Deal and what, if anything, we will see from this Green New Deal and the Green Party platform. So presidential candidate Howie Hawkins will be here on the show. We don't slow down. This is the only place you're going to get this kind of news. I don't see him being interviewed on the mainstream media, so he will be here. So subscribe to the channel. Make sure you turn on that little bell notification so you'll be notified when we go live. Thank you so much for your support. And don't forget, also, you can sign up for our daily newsletter as well. We publish it every day. Morninginvest.com is how you subscribe to that newsletter, so it's delivered to your inbox first thing in the morning. So our thanks to you for supporting the show. All right. All right, take a little drink of water, and we're going to talk stimulus time now. Born Beauty Star says, I don't even care anymore. You got to care. See, apathy is when we all start, once apathy sets in. If you have a guy like Edward Snowden, by the way, who did a great interview with Joe Rogan on his podcast, and I believe Edward Snowden is a hero for, releasing this spying on the American people, which turned out to be illegal, which we now know is illegal under the courts. He's even optimistic. He's like, look, I'm optimist. I'm an optimist because I know we can change, and we've started to see some change as a result of what we did. So we've got to have optimism. Let's try to be positive. I bring you this news so that we can all move forward with it and be empowered to take this knowledge and move forward with it, not be lied to by corporate media. That is a perfect example of corporate media question right here. When she asks this question, the way that she phrases this is corporate media.
Pennsylvania as well, if I didn't say that. Is it plausible that these Russian actors created enough influence that changed a few thousand votes here and there, and ultimately that could have altered the election?
Come on, man.
Exactly. That's the kind of garbage that you get. All right, let's deep dive now. Let's deep dive the stimulus now and where we are on this. All right, it's time to talk stimulus. The $2 trillion compromise stimulus bill rolled out yesterday by that compromise party. Maybe they should start their own third-party political party. Yesterday, the March to Common Ground, as it was called. And this, of course, was the 50-person bipartisan problem solvers caucus that came forward with their bill yesterday, their framework, as they're calling it. And let's go through, first of all, what's in this thing, and then I'm going to talk about whether or not, again, it's going to have any more legs, and if anyone's going to vote for it, because now we've got some new reporting overnight from different members of Congress, Nancy Pelosi and others, as to whether or not this thing has any legs and will continue into the Senate and ultimately onto the president's desk, or is it dead on arrival? So what is in this bill? $100 billion for COVID-19. Testing and healthcare, $316 billion in direct payments to individuals and families, $120 billion for enhanced unemployment benefits, and that would be $450 per week in enhanced unemployment benefits, $290 billion for small businesses, $145 billion for schools and child care, $500 billion in state and local aid, $400 billion for election security, $52 billion to support broadband expansion in the United States, the agriculture industry, the U.S. Postal Service, and the census. Also additional language on liability protections in there. It would also have these boosters, another $200 billion or $500 billion basically for additional stimulus checks. So not just one stimulus check, but two stimulus checks of $1,200 if the pandemic continues into 2021 of next year, in the spring of 2021. So they would have triggers built into this. Now, on paper, it looks like a great compromise. but this thing is going nowhere. Now, yesterday on the show, I said that I would eat a house plant if this passes the Senate and ultimately becomes law in its current form. I'm not saying, if it gets totally altered, then hey, I'm not eating a house plant. Some of you have recommended different types of house plants for me to try. Mint is a good choice because at least that's tasty. A ficus is another one I could try. Someone recommended a cactus, to which I say, boo on you. I have a money tree right here that I could eat that. I don't want to tell you what would happen after that if I ate a money tree. Anyway, I just don't think that this is going to happen. I stand by that this is a total long shot, that this is not going to pass. We now have a number of different members of Congress that have weighed in on this. And it's funny because Kevin McCarthy in the House is basically saying that Democratic colleagues are upset at Nancy Pelosi and the leadership because they didn't pass anything. He's trying to stir up a fight. So this is what Kevin McCarthy had to say yesterday about whether or not these Democrats are angry with Nancy Pelosi in the House.
And you're even having problem solvers put forth an idea today. That shows, even within the Democrats, that they're upset with the speaker by not finding common ground.
Ooh, by not finding common ground. So they're upset with the speaker. Of course, that set off a firestorm. Really? Are Democrats trying to create a coup right now about this? She said, look, while we appreciate every attempt at providing critical relief to the American families, the Problem Solvers Caucus proposal falls short. Actually, this was what the committee chairs all came together and said on this. They said, while we appreciate every attempt at providing critical relief to the American families, the Problem Solvers Caucus proposal falls short of what is needed to save lives and boost the economy. So basically, the committee chairs aren't even going to let this get a vote. It has to come out of committee. And if the committee doesn't even allow it to go to the floor, then this is not going to get a vote. This is not going to happen. Nancy Pelosi also said that she didn't address it specifically in these interviews yesterday, but she said that she appreciates the effort for this bipartisan log jam to be broken. She appreciates it. But she said, but a joint statement from 8 House Democratic committee chairs basically poured water on this thing, cold water. It's dead. So she didn't specifically talk about it. She's basically letting that up to her committee chairs to say. She doesn't want to have to play the bad cop on all of this. But look, let's make no mistake, before you get your hopes up on all of this was just a political stunt. 50 members of this Problem Solvers Caucus, it's great. It's a political stunt. The reason it's a political stunt is they know it's not going to pass. Republicans specifically have no desire to spend more than $1 trillion, if that. I mean, they didn't want to go above $500 billion. They were lucky to get Ted Cruz, Rand Paul, and anybody else to vote for it, that it was even that expensive when they rolled out their skinny bill last week. There's no way, and Republicans have already said, when this thing rolled out, Republicans in the Senate said, no way. So you can blame whoever you want, but this is going to go nowhere in the Senate. Republicans will not sign it. This is going nowhere. So that's why I feel confident in saying that I would eat a houseplant if this thing passes. So Nancy Pelosi responded to this question about whether or not she's got dissent inside the Democratic Party and party members over this Problem Solvers Caucus move.
Staying here until we have an agreement that
I want to bring in our next guest, Speaker of the House Nancy Pelosi, to react to that, because it's a pretty serious charge to say that our own members are upset because they think they're being sacrificed. Madam Speaker, welcome to the show. Maybe we can get right to the bottom of this. What's really going on here?
Well, I wouldn't stoop to the level of responding to silliness. That has no idea. I just got off a call with my colleagues. We are committed to staying here until we have an agreement that meets the needs of the American people. We're optimistic that the White House, at least, will understand that we have to do some things. We have had a disagreement on crushing the virus, and that's a very important part of the HEROES Act: testing, tracing, treatment, mask wearing, ventilation, distancing, and the rest.
So she's saying that the White House appears to at least be aware that we need to get something done, and trying to at least negotiate with Treasury Secretary Steven Mnuchin on this. There appears to be, given what the Speaker just said, she said, I'm not going to send people home for recess. on October 9th. I'm going to keep the House here until we get something passed, which is encouraging. Now, to be clear, they are allowed to go home and campaign, and they will be given 24 hours notice if there is some sort of legislation that needs to be signed. They will have to fly back to Washington and sign it. So yes, they will still be going home on a technical recess, but they will remain negotiating through the next few weeks. I don't think there's a snowball's chance that they're going to pass a stimulus package before the election day. I just don't see it. I don't see it happening. I would be stunned if we do, but I don't see it happening. A couple of people weighed in just a few minutes ago. In fact, Mick Mulvaney, former or acting White House chief of staff under President Trump, weighed in on this. And maybe he's saying something because he's got the insider knowledge on this from the White House, that there might be mounting pressure on the White House and Republicans now to get something on the table. Listen to Mick Mulvaney.
It doesn't appear that real negotiations are really going on right now. Is this just dead in the water right now?
Well, I think you're right to say that those negotiations are not going on right now. That's not to say that this could not move very, very quickly in the next couple of weeks. Keep in mind the pressure is simply building on leadership in both the House and the Senate. The folks who are most at risk for getting blamed for not having a stimulus package would be the Democrats in the House and the Republicans in the Senate. All of the House is running for re-election. Much of the Senate is running for re-election. So the pressure will continue to build on the leadership to try and get something out the door. And with the government needing to be funded by the end of September, there will be a necessary carrier bill that must get passed between now and the election. So I think it's right to say that things have gone very slowly. There's a chance that something doesn't pass, but I do think the pressure is building to get something done.
Well, the question is, will the Senate leadership, Mitch McConnell is running for re-election in Kentucky. You have other members of the Senate that are running for re-election on the Republican side. Are they going to be able to go back to their constituents and say, hey, I had an opportunity to vote for stimulus money for you, direct payments to you, extensions of unemployment to you, but I didn't. The leadership never brought it up for a vote. The House passed this HEROES Act. I know it was big. It would have helped you, but we didn't get a chance to vote on it because Mitch McConnell didn't want us to. And we passed this little piddly, crappy, skinny bill, and it went nowhere. What do you think is going to happen to those people? I mean, this is why we vote, right? This is an opportunity for us to vote with our ballot. Go there, to have our voice heard right now and get these people thrown out of there. Get the right people in there that actually care about the American people instead of lining the pockets of big business and corporations. This is an opportunity. That's how we change. Like I saw someone in the chat said, I just don't care anymore. I can feel that. I have empathy for you. I feel that. I feel that sort of exasperation. But we can change this by hiring the right people to work for us in Congress instead of these corporate lackeys that are just concerned with making sure that Wall Street is fine. The former Treasury Secretary, Mr. Liu, was talking about this, and he says, look, this is what's going to happen to the economy if we do not get a stimulus package through. We are in for catastrophe. Listen.
I would say there's no feeling of urgency. That's very different from there being urgency. We're still looking at an economy where there's 11.5 million fewer people working than in February before the shutdown. We're looking at an economy where 1 in 10 households is short of food, and there's a difficulty feeding families. We're seeing what experts are looking at as perhaps the worst rental housing crisis in our history. And we have a mixed story between the markets and the real economy out there. And I think it's a mistake to not keep our eye on the pain that's out there, both in terms of families and their human needs, but also what the macroeconomic effect is if we take away all of the supports that have kept things so that when things partially reopen, we could partially come back. We've basically seen half of a recovery, and we can't see the other half until all of the rest of the economy is able to open up, and that doesn't appear to be anytime soon. So, we wrote in the op-ed that it's playing with fire to wait.
It's playing with fire to wait. Well, you can blame, I blame Republicans on this one. They waited all summer. Mitch McConnell said, we're going to take a pause. We're not going to do anything. We're going to watch how our stimulus package that we passed in March unfolds and how it works. and they saw jobs numbers going down, or jobless numbers going down, and they saw Wall Street going up, and they were happy. And Republicans came out. One Republican texted, said, well, there goes the no need for another stimulus after those jobs numbers came out in July. And you saw Mitch McConnell, you saw Treasury Secretary Mnuchin, you saw Larry Kudlow, all saying, hey, this is great. Our economy's burning and churning. What they're not looking at is the permanent job loss number. They're not looking at the American people who are suffering. They're looking at Wall Street numbers. They're looking at fake jobs numbers, which are just people in the system who are continuing to look for employment. They're not looking at the eviction crisis that Jack Lew just talked about, which is going to be massive. And he's not looking about the huge furloughs that are about to unfold, with tens of thousands of jobs about to be laid off or lost over the next few weeks. As American Airlines, United Airlines, the list goes on and on. The amount of businesses that are going to lay people off in the next few weeks. This is all coming. And it's all happening on President Trump and Mitch McConnell's watch right now. The ball is in their court. And this morning, Republicans immediately came out and squashed this idea of this compromise problem solvers caucus bill. In fact, they immediately offered sharp criticism of it and said there's no stomach for us passing anything more than $650 billion, which is what the skinny bill was. We're not touching a $2 trillion price tag on any kind of a bill. So, stimulus bill in the toilet, not going to happen. I said I would eat a houseplant if it passes. I'm still holding to that. I keep my word. I will eat a houseplant if this problem solvers caucus bill sees the light of day and passes. And I will say I don't think we're going to see anything before Election Day on the stimulus front. We'll be lucky if we get a continuing resolution passed from keeping the government from shutting down at this pace. So that is the very latest on the stimulus front. Go ahead and smash that like button, please, and subscribe to our channel. Don't forget, you can every day get access to our daily morning newsletter just by going to morninginvest.com. It's delivered right to your inbox. And today we're doing the hoodie giveaway. That's right. We're giving away our brand new hoodies. For anybody who refers somebody else, you'll be entered into a raffle, and we'll pick it at random, and then you win, and then the person you referred wins. So if you refer 20 people, you get 20 raffle tickets, basically. So just share the newsletter. You can do so with your own, inside the newsletter, at the bottom of the newsletter, there's your own referral link. So just use that link and send it. Say, hey, Mom, got to check out this newsletter and subscribe. And if they sign up, boom, you both get a chance to win. So thank you so much for your support. I really appreciate it. Check in on Grover. He's sitting right by my side today. What do you guys think about this latest stimulus? Fresh mint. Yeah, we've got we do have the debate coming up very, very soon. You know, Joe Biden and Joe Rogan said he would do that 4-hour debate. A 4-hour debate. Well, his show is like 3 hours, I think. 3-hour podcast show with Joe Rogan and moderating it between President Trump and Joe Biden. I wouldn't want to sit through that. My God, man. But this is their strategy. Why would Joe Biden want to spend 3 hours on camera right now? Because he's winning by not doing interviews. So why would he do it? I think we deserve to know it. I think we deserve to see it. But it's not going to happen. I would love to see, some stuff. You know, there'd be great news that comes out of a 3-hour debate like that. You know, I think people would think it would get fiery, that they would be at each other's throat for 3 hours. But I think in that setting, they're both going to be congenial. And it'll probably be pretty subdued. 3 hours, that's exhausting, you know, to do a debate. I don't know. I don't know if I could sit through something like that. I should mention that tomorrow on the show, programming note, we will have Howie Hawkins on the show, presidential Green Party candidate. This is our first presidential interview on Morning Invest. See, we're moving up in the world. That's right. I don't have the power to say, hey, I work at Fox News anymore to get you on the show. But we're growing. So we've got Howie Hawkins, the Green Party presidential candidate. He will be joining us here live on the show tomorrow, and we will be asking him questions of the Green Party platform and this Democratic suppression move that they've been trying to throw the Green Party off the ballot. I think it's disgusting. So we'll be talking with him about that tomorrow on the show. Grover is excited about that, aren't you, buddy? Aren't you, buddy? My little boy. So thanks to everyone. What stimulus? This should be the question for the past few months. Yeah. John Bankett says, I'm sick of Biden's ads already. What state do you live in where you're seeing his ads all the time? Yeah. G. Uru Taro says, yeah, 2 old farts with archaic thinking. Boring. Patricia Tucker says, almost all houseplants are poisonous. I do love the newsletter. Well, thank you so much. Someone says, Joe is, what did someone say? Janet Musser says, I live in the woods of Washington State and I pray every day that it doesn't burn along with the whole West Coast. I mean, up there, Janet, I'd be curious. I mean, have you seen hotter temperatures than you've ever seen before? Thank you, Christina. Did you watch the Paranormal Post episode last night? We have our new Paranormal Post episode is live. It's our weekly wrap-up of all of the UFO news and strange stories in the news. If you're new to the channel, you can please check out the Paranormal Post. It's right here. Let me show you where it is. It's just go to youtube.com/paranormalpost. And we published our latest video, which is our weekly wrap-up video. And here it is. Giant holes are appearing all over the place. Plus, we cover a lot of other stories on the weekly wrap-up show. So here it is. Giant holes appearing out of nowhere was the show. So go and check that out. Again, youtube.com/paranormalpost. How about this? Why don't we do this? I'm going to end this show right now. Why don't you guys all, we have 5,000 of you right now, come on over to youtube.com/paranormalpost and let's watch that video together. And I'm going to hang out in the chat over there. If you have any questions about this story, I'm going to be live in the chat, in the comments below. So you ask a question and I'll be responding to comments for the next hour in that channel. So come on over right now, again, youtube.com/paranormalpost and watch this video. It's the giant holes appearing out of nowhere video. It's only 13 minutes long. You guys can do it. So come on over there and I will chat along with you guys and in the comments section. I'm going to grab a beverage and I will do it right now. We'll sit down and we'll watch some paranormal news together. And then we'll be back here tomorrow with Howie Hawkins, the Green Party presidential candidate. Okay, so tune in 9 a.m. Eastern time tomorrow right here on the show. Thank you all. Much love to all of you. Now, all 5,000 of you, come on over to my YouTube channel, Paranormal Post, right now, and let's watch that video together. I'll be in the comments.